Lindsay. And as Lindsay mentioned, my name is Molly McManus from CCE Broome County. I do apologize. I have my camera off today as we have been having intermittent internet connection issues. Normally I wouldn't present with my camera off, but I am getting a note that says my connection's unstable and I don't want to lose you guys. So today we are talking about using your farm website as a welcome mat, maximizing your website user experience, and you'll sometimes hear that referred to as UX. And just a little bit about me. So as I mentioned, I am Molly McManus. I'm the Agritourism and Marketing Coordinator at CCE Broome County. I have been with CCE for 10 years, and my background is in communications and community development, in particular, focusing on community food systems. A big part of my day-to-day work is managing digital presence. So our website, our social media pages, our content that goes out to the public. I spend a lot of time thinking about what makes a visitor or participant feel welcome before they ever set foot at one of our programs or events. And a lot of that does happen online first. I also stay involved with agritourism in New York State through the CCE Agritourism Program Work Team, which is who is presenting this webinar to you today, as well as nationally through the National Extension Tourism Network. I'm on their communications committee. So again, today we're going to dig into your farm website, not so much the technical side, but the visitor side. What are people looking for when they land on your page? And how do you make it easy for them to say yes to a visit? Okay, and first we will set the stage here for you a little bit. Um, I think these three numbers really help communicate the importance of a good user experience. So 75% of people judge whether a business is credible based on website design alone. And that's a stat from the Stanford Web Credibility Project. Studies by the Nielsen Norman Group show that users are highly skeptical and ruthlessly screen pages within the first 10 seconds. If a page fails to communicate its value in that tiny window of time, users will click away immediately. And then more than 60% of searches happen on a mobile device, according to a study done by SEMrush. So here's what I want you to think about. Your website isn't just nice to have. It is, for many visitors, the first experience they have with your farm. And for ones who have never heard of you before, it may be the only experience they have before they decide whether to make the trip to your farm or business. Visitors are coming to your website with a specific question. Can I trust this place? Is it worth the trip? Your website's going to be your first impression to that visitor, and your website must answer those questions. Good user experience means making it easy, clear, and inviting. And so today, here's a little bit just what we'll talk about. Um, we're talking about your visitors. We'll work through your homepage and key pages on your site. We'll get into mobile and navigation, photos and visuals, using calls to action, and trust and credibility. And we'll close with some quick tips you can use as a self-audit on your own site. Okay, so talking about visitors, who is actually coming to your website and what are they trying to find out? There's often three core themes that visitors have. They're asking these three types of questions and they want the answers fast. So the first theme is, what is this place? What can I actually do there? People need to understand your offerings at a glance. If they have to click around or go through multiple sub pages to figure out whether you do U-Pick or tours or farm dinners, you've already lost some of those customers. The second question is, can I go? Is it open? How much does it cost? This one seems more obvious, but logistics are a big source of visitor frustration because we see a lot of sites that have missing or outdated information on there. The third question is a bit more emotional. Is it worth the trip? Will my family enjoy it? They're making judgments about the experiences you offer without having even stepped foot on your farm or business. That judgment is happening through your photos on your website, the tone of voice you're using, and what other people have said about you. And then who asks these types of questions? Um, we have families with kids. These are often high volume visitors to agritourism experiences. They want to know, is it safe? Is it age appropriate? What do I need to bring? Are there easily accessible bathrooms? You'll have maybe couples and adult visitors. This demographic, I think, really exploded, especially after or during the COVID-19 pandemic. People looking for outdoorsy things to do. They're looking for atmosphere. They're looking for aesthetics. They maybe are interested more in storytelling, so the story behind the farm. Depending on your operation, this might lean towards foodies, couples that are going on a day date, or people that just want to be outside and enjoy a nice day. And these first two groups often check their phones and are Googling information in real time, whether they're either on the way to your farm or maybe if they're doing multiple things like between destinations. And then, of course, you have group planners. So these are people that might plan a school trip, a corporate outing, a birthday party. Um, they need to know specific logistics, like your capacity. Do you do any type of invoicing? They might want a phone number so they can connect with a real person to talk about some of their logistical questions. So you need to consider these different types of groups when you are laying out your website and writing your website content. So we'll first talk about your homepage. So this is going to be the most important page on your whole website. As you all probably know, this is where people first land. This is going to be the page where they're deciding in about those 10 seconds whether it's worth their time and to either stay on your page or leave. The top of your homepage, and I will show you some examples a little in a few slides so you can see what I'm talking about, are what web designers call the hero section. This is the very first thing people see on your site before they start scrolling. You're going to want to have one strong photo or video in this section. I want to emphasize it needs to be real, it needs to be authentic, not stock imagery. A real photo of your actual farm, your animals, your offerings, people, your staff, your visitors. We will talk more about photos and visuals, but this particular visual in your hero is your most important one on your entire website. Obviously, make sure this isn't blurry, out of focus, etc. Second, it's helpful to have a headline. So not just your farm or business name, something that tells visitors what you offer. For example, if your headline says Hilltop Farm, I don't know what that means. But if it says pick your own strawberries and blueberries in Broome County, open May through August, now I know exactly what you offer, what I would be doing if I came there, whether it's relevant to me, and when I can go. Third, consider using a call to action button. Don't use vague uh, descriptions for these, but book a tour rather than book now, or plan your visit rather than learn more. Also, keep in mind you don't want to have too many calls to action. That can create decision paralysis, and users will then sometimes just make no decision instead of clicking on one of them and narrowing down what they should focus on. So pick what's most important to you and make that your call to action. And then fourth, your hours or season. Um, so in the example I said, I included the seasonal hours, but you could also list it as a small different line that says, open Saturdays and Sundays, 10 to 4. Including your hours right there builds instant trust because it helps signal that you're current, you're open, and you're paying attention to your site. On the left, or I'm sorry, on the right hand of the slide, you'll see common mistakes. A slow loading slideshow with multiple photos. Number one, visitors rarely make it past the first photo. Number two, this can cause your site to load more slowly. So one good photo is more impactful than six photos that are going to load slowly that, visitors might not see photos 2 through 6. A headline with no description, too many or vague calls to action, no indication of location, or outdated seasonal info. Set a calendar reminder to update your site regularly or at a minimum seasonally. Your visitors will thank you. All right, and now we'll talk a little bit more about the homepage as a whole. So beyond that hero section, what should the rest of your page look like? Here's a simple framework. So zone 1 is the hero section. We just talked about that. Zone 2, what you offer. Maybe 3 to 5 icons or cards covering your main activities. It's your full menu, but at a glance. You can link to different pages on your website for people to learn more info. Plan your visit. That's your logistics in more detail. Your hours, address, cost, a link to directions. This is the most functional part of your homepage, so it needs to be visible. You're going to want to answer folks' questions. Often these are the most urgent questions. You'll want to answer those immediately. And then zone 4 is social proof. So visitor reviews, star ratings. We'll talk more about trust later, but seeing that other people showed up and had a good time helps convince future guests to make the trip. And kind of a general theme to keep in mind is that your homepage is a scannable brochure, not a novel. Folks often are just skimming, and then if something catches their eye, they'll read more. So this is just kind of briefly touching on all of your main points. And then again, a lot of the things we can link to on some of our other pages. All right, so here's some examples. This is a farm somewhat near me, but down in PA, Brown Hill Farms. They're mainly known for their tulips. They do have some other offerings as well during other seasons. Right now, we see they're closed for tulips. Their sunflower dates are TBA. So I have an idea here, like my expectations have been set. Okay, I've missed tulip season. I know if I'm interested in sunflower season, I should check back because they'll announce the dates at some point. And then at the bottom of this hero section, they have sort of those pages where you can click on each of their seasonal offerings and learn more. Another example, this is another farm I found that's in Pennsylvania, Cherry Hill Orchards. Um, their headline there, over 100 varieties of fruits and more. So I kind of know what their offering is. Their call to action is that button, view our picking calendar. Then they have those logistical pieces, market hours, come visit, pick your own hours. And it's a little hard to see, but it says see our current pick your own availability and hours here, and here is hyperlinked. So that takes me to get more information. Then as I scroll down on the Cherry Hill Orchards page, they have those cards I was talking about. So these are their three main offerings, their farm market, their orchard, and their garden center. And I can click on each of these cards to learn more about their different experiences. And then this is another farm, Cherry Crest. So this is still right on Cherry Crest homepage. If I've scrolled all the way down to the bottom, I have their social proof here. I've got their 4 5-star reviews that I can read and learn what people enjoyed. Um, and that gives me a little bit more buy-in to want to visit this business. Okay, so now we'll talk about some essential pages in addition to your homepage that you should have. You don't need to have a 20-page website, but you do. These are 6 pages I would recommend having. Um, so home, we just covered that. This is what I am referring to as your welcome mat. Your experiences and activities. Farms will sometimes list their activities in in one sentence. We offer hay rides, pumpkin picking, and a corn maze. But that doesn't necessarily tell me everything I need to know. How long does a hayride take? Is it included in admission? Do I need a reservation in advance? What ages is the corn maze appropriate for? If I can't answer those questions on your website, I'm going to call you. And then if I can't easily find your contact information, I I'm going to just go somewhere else. And some people, won't even pick up the phone and call. So if they can't find the information right on your website, then you've just lost a potential customer. So you'll want to be specific about what you're offering. Plan your visit. So this is more of specific logistics. Um, it's got to be complete and current, easy to read. Your hours, again, need to be specific. Don't say hours very seasonally. Spell it out for people. Um, List your admission prices. Is it priced by age group? Is it priced by activity? So nobody arrives surprised. It's smart to embed a map, or at very least have your address linked to a map, so visitors can tap directly into that navigation without having to copy and paste something. So you're eliminating potential bottlenecks for your visitors. I'm assuming, you know that you're doing that on your farm for on-farm experiences, eliminating visitor bottlenecks. You need to do that on the web as well. Um, Include parking info, what to wear or bring, your pet policy, accessibility notes, weather and or cancellation policy, a frequently asked questions section for your top 5 most common questions. Every question you answer on your website is a phone call you don't have to take or an email you don't have to answer. Um, if you have a hard to find locations, we all know sometimes rural locations and GPS do not get along. Maybe a nearby highway landmark or town. Um, and then about or our story. This is what separates an on-farm experience from a theme park. People book agritourism experiences because they want some type of connection to where their food comes from and people that grow it. Um, a short paragraph from your family, a photo of the people behind the operation. This does a lot to help foster trust. Um, you might want to include a photo gallery and or a more lengthy review page. Um, again, use real photos. If you have visitor photos you can use with permission, these are worth a lot more than any stock photo. If you have your Google business profile, your star rating and recent reviews are often the first thing someone sees before they even click on your website if they Google you. So you'll want to make sure you have that set up. It's totally free to do. Encourage happy visitors to leave a review. These reviews go a long way with inspiring confidence in new potential visitors. And then contact or book. Always have an easy way for someone to get in touch with you. Even if you don't do online bookings, a simple form, like an inquiry form, can help remove friction for folks that have certain questions, like if you do events or birthday parties, things like that. And so these are things when I'm thinking about website user experience on the left-hand column, what would be my must-haves, and then the right-hand column, if you want to go above and beyond, you can also consider these. So again, current hours. Visitors should never have to call you to find out if you're open. Your pricing. Nobody wants to arrive at your farm to find out the pricing is different than what's expected or that you're cash only. So, consider listing your forms of payment there as well. Your map embedding, not just your address, your accessibility information. This one sometimes can get overlooked and it can be challenging on farms, as we all know. But even basic info, like our main activity areas have paved paths. Some farm surfaces may be uneven, is better than saying nothing. It tells people that you're thinking about them. A pet policy. People will show up with their animals, so be clear about what you allow and don't allow. Cancellation and weather policy. What happens if it rains? Are you open rain or shine? What if you do have a cancellation policy, is it refundable or can people schedule to come on a different day? How does that all work? And then your how to book, so that's your contact form, uh, or if you have an online booking platform. Also consider seasonal holiday closures. So if I say I'm open 7 days a week, does that include holidays such as like our upcoming 4th of July holiday or, Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, things like that? What's not allowed? Pets is an obvious one. We already talked about that, but um, is there anything else that's not allowed? Your nearest landmark, and you're going to want to avoid your outdated seasonal info. So um, I would even recommend putting a last updated date on your page somewhere so folks know that someone's paying attention to this site. Okay, mobile experience. So as we talked about at the beginning, more than 60% of web searches happen on a mobile phone. So if someone's driving around on a Saturday afternoon, they pass a sign for a farm they've never visited, they pull over and Google it. You've got the 10 seconds to make them decide if they are going to turn around and come to your farm or keep driving. Um, all of this is taking place on their phone, right? So your website, you need to consider that your website passes a mobile test as well. So what does this mean? Um, your hours and phone number need to be easily findable. If you have buttons, they need to be big enough that people can tap on with their thumb. Your website shouldn't scroll left to right, right? It should scroll up and down. Because if I'm on a phone, my screen's not very wide. If you have a really wide website, like wide pictures or anything that's causing your website to make people scroll left to right, that's a challenge for them. Your phone number should open the dialer when someone taps it. If they have to copy and paste it, again, you might lose potential business. Um, and keep your text readable. 16-point font is the minimum recommended size. Um, Anything smaller, people have to pinch it and zoom to read it, and they might not bother. And then here's a couple examples of that. So this is that same orchard that we talked about earlier. Um, their header looks very similar. However, we see that it's a little bit more condensed. Um, they've got their buttons there. It's easy to read. And then you might see, it might be hard to see, but at the very bottom, they have a call, map, calendar, and contact buttons. Those all open up. Um, and do the action for you. So I have another screenshot here. So when I press call, I get this little box that pops up. I can press on that button and call them automatically. I didn't have to go and copy their phone number into my phone app. And now we'll talk a little bit about navigation. So navigation is kind of an easy fix. Basically, the rule of thumb is we don't want to overload people with too many choices. Try to keep any navigation bars to 5 to 7 items max. More than that, and visitors look at the menu, they don't know where to click, they may give up. If you do have more pages than that, try to group them logically or decide what really needs to be a main navigation link versus buried somewhere else. Use plain language. Discover, explore, journey. These all sound nice, but they don't actually tell me anything. Um, Farm store, book a tour, uh, experiences and activities. These are more descriptive and tell me what I'm going to find. Choose clarity over cleverness. Uh, Logo links back to the homepage. This is a web navigation that people have come to expect. If someone clicks your logo and nothing happens or it goes somewhere unexpected, it creates additional friction. Order your links by priority. So, what do you most want people to do or learn about, followed by what you second most want people to do or learn about, and so on and so forth. Most visitors read left to right, so what's ever on the left side of your page will typically get read first. Um, Plan your visit or your main action page should not be your last navigation item. On the mistake side, too many subpages. Too many subpages creates confusion and decision fatigue. Um, it'll also be harder to pull up on a mobile site because it might hide other navigation links. You don't need a page for an individual unique page for every single activity or experience that you offer. Um, Having a navigation menu that's visible, and I will show you an example of that in the next slide. And then telling people where they are. So if I click onto your page, but then there's no header or footer on the page, it's easy for visitors to get lost as they're navigating around. And then here's an example Um, so we see our navigation links here at the top: pricing, things to do, reservation, calendar, about, kind of randomly Highland Cows. Um, and then each of these, if I hover over them, will have a drop down navigation of some of their sub pages. Okay, so photos and visuals. People are buying an experience. They need to be able to see themselves in it. Show real people having fun. Candid shots of families, kids, couples, used with permission, do better than stage shots or stock images. These real photos create more of an emotional connection with a potential visitor. Think about sensory experiences: berries going into a basket, an animal being petted, a child biting into an apple. These images create a visceral desire to visit. I want to feel that is more of a motivator than that looks nice. Um, Update seasonally when appropriate, um, especially if you're open for multiple seasons with multiple different types of activities. Show your people a photo of your family or employees. Again, candid, not staged. Does a lot for trust. People book agritourism experiences because they want to make those connections. And then just a practical note on image size. Uh, Uncompressed large images are the number one cause of slow website load times. If your page takes more than 3 seconds to load, you lose visitors before they've even really seen anything. There's a number of free online tools to help reduce file size without losing quality. If you use any design programs like Canva, they can also reduce file size for you. And now we'll talk about your calls to action. So every page on your website should be guiding the visitors towards one clear next step. So those are your call to action. More simply, what do you want the visitor to do next? Uh, Call us. This works better when your booking is conversational. Group events, tours if you need to talk through logistics. If that's your call to action, make your phone number huge, make it a tap to call. If someone has to hunt for your number, they may not bother. Fill out a form. This is great if you're doing group inquiries for event bookings, maybe sign up for something. Um, Anything where you want to capture the request, keep it short. Name, email, date, group size. Every extra field you add on a form reduces the number of people who complete it. So just keep in mind, whatever it is you're setting up a form for, um, tailor your form as specifically to that in as few questions as possible. Book online. If you have a ticketing system, your booking button should obviously be front and center. Um, Farms that accept online bookings are likely to capture more revenue per visitor because people book in the moment of interest rather than having to do a follow-up call or something like that. Oops, sorry, I did not mean to click that. Um, General rule of thumb, one call to action per section. Don't have book now, sign up, call us, all in the same paragraph. Use action language, plan your visit, reserve your spot rather than register. Um, might be worth it to have an email sign up as well. It's often underused, but once you capture that email, you own that audience. Um, we all know social media algorithms are changing. There's so much content out there. It's hard to get a significant reach on social media. But you own your email list, and even a simply monthly email list of what's in season or events coming up um, is really effective for bringing visitors back. Then we have trust and credibility. So think about what you're asking of a visitor. You're asking them to take time out of their day, drive to a place they may have never been, spend their money in this economy, bring their family. They need to feel confident it's going to be worth it before they've even been there. So, trust is built through two categories. The first is your social proof, other people vouching for you. And the second is transparency, showing you're a legitimate, accountable operation. Um, Google reviews are the single highest level trust signal for a local business. So again, please claim your Google business profile if you haven't already. Um, Link to your active social media. I do want to emphasize active. If you haven't used your Facebook page since 2022, linking to an inactive page actually hurts trust. Visitors wonder if you're still open. If social media is not right for you, you're not maintaining a page, then don't link to it at all because no link is better than linking to anything that might be outdated. Um, on on transparency, so I mentioned this a little earlier. That last updated date shows that people that you're paying attention. Your clear policies. Um, a farm that clearly signifies what happens if it rains is a farm that has thought about the visitor experience from a visitor's perspective. Your real contact information. I find more and more people are saying they want to talk to a real person. They want to know that a real person is behind this business. And then any affiliation logos, New York Grown and Certified, grower associations. These are third-party endorsements that visitors recognize as signs of quality, even if they don't know exactly what they mean. So, have those displayed somewhere, whether it's their logos or listed somewhere. And then finally, we just have some of our key takeaways. So remember, answer your core visitors questions. Where is it? When can I go? Is it worth the trip? Your key info, like your hours and pricing and contact information front and center always. Social proof builds trust. So think about those reviews. Think about real photos of real people. Keep layouts simple with not too many subpages, not too many calls to action. Think about the mobile experience. Do test your website yourself, both on the web and on your phone before you go to publish things. Um, Update your page regularly or at least seasonally. Um, Use plain language navigation and focus on your calls to action. So think what's your priority and then kind of build your page around that. And that is the end of my presentation, but I do have time for questions if anyone has any.